Chère Monica,
Dear Monica, I'm delighted to be here with you in the Mercier et Associés Gallery, where you organized your first entire exhibition in Paris with all your works on the topic of jewellery. So I'm going to ask you this question. In the German dictionary, if there was one word to remember, which would it be? Well, I had time to think about it, so I would use the most untranslatable word, Heimat, because it's a complex word. Complex because of its origins, of its connotation after World War II. It has a Nazi connotation. But afterwards, there was a beautiful TV show that allowed the Germans to reclaim ownership of this word. And this is a word that encompasses lots of feeling, that allows you to live even in exile. So Heimat is a word, I don't know. It's maternal. It's also paternal, like the Vaterland, but it's something I've always been carrying with me. Instead of being attached to places, I have this attachment to something which is not ephemeral, but something which is not tangible. It's a word which is intangible and allows you to have intangible memories. You don't need anything to hold on. Everything is blurry in your head. However, it's we have something very real, because that's the word that you chose as a title for your book, in which you show a collection of your work. Yes, well, this title was extremely difficult to find, and it's the first time I can thank Christian Allandet. Back in the days when I was working on the book, I used to call him and ask him if he had any idea about the title. And he said, well, Monica, choose Heimat. It doesn't translate, it's perfect, it's ever so German. And I never managed to explain this word, but it became something obvious, because in what I produce, in what I create, photography, jewellery, in everything I do, this is where I found my Heimat, my home, which connects me to the German language and to the French language as well. Well, to the French language when I have to explain the word. When I think about my work, I think in French, but I also have German flashes coming to my mind, or when I feel I need to be more mysterious, I go back to the German language. Yes, because in your titles there is a back and forth movement between French titles and German titles to your work. So, do you know why? Well, just like any language. And it's nice to be able to talk about these two, because there are linguistic horizons that do not always express the same thing. And in Stichwunde, the present from the seamstress, the fact of using a German word allowed me to be more accurate in what I wanted to say. Stichwunde is a wound through a stitch. It's very precise, and I found it more precise than the gift from the seamstress in French. And there was also an idea which was important to me, because I started working on this series in Switzerland, and I was in the German-speaking part of Switzerland. So there was this movement back to this linguistic environment which echoes for me. So Stichwunde angefeindeiner is more robust, more brutal, so to speak. A bit like when in the French language you write a word using a K instead of a C to make it more impactful, which are sounds which many people associate to the German language, although it's totally false. Okay, we talked about Heimat, we talked about languages, we talked about words. But now I'd like to come back to two of your works, which are presented here in the exhibition at the very beginning of the exhibition, because you told me that you felt you were a writer as well. So of course this was very important to me. And in this work, Enfance, Childhood, there is some level of autobiography, and if you were to write about yourself, you would write in the first person in the singular. And then there is the other work called Pauline F. And I think that for Pauline you would have used the third person in singular, because that's a fiction, that's a story about a fictional character. So how do you move back and forth between fiction and reality? Well, I think this shift, this way of telling a story, if these pieces belonging to the childhood collection are, well, they're not really autobiography, but I asked my mother to knit the gloves, and it's obviously a very powerful memory from my childhood, because we all were wearing red gloves held by a string. By the way, these are not gloves, these are muffles. And it's in 1998 that I organized this very personal exhibition at the Riatu Museum, and we wanted to show the works via the works that come from the workshop and which are never displayed. And this is why I wanted to show these gloves. I didn't know what I wanted to do with these gloves, but I'd asked my mother to knit them for me. And to me this was a piece of jewellery that wasn't jewellery. Can you clarify that? A jewel which is not a jewel. Well, that's my big challenge. When I work, I don't want to work on pieces of jewellery which are immediately identified as pieces of jewellery. Like brooches, for instance, I didn't want them to be identified as a brooch, which is identified with a pin at the back. At the back. And that generates two different faces, surfaces, a technical surface and a storytelling surface. And for various reasons, personal ambiguity or other reasons, I think it's important that jewels are one thing when they're not worn, and when they are worn, they are in total dialogue with their support, i.e. fabric for a brooch. And for me, telling that these gloves are a jewel, they're not designed as a piece of jewellery, they're designed as a very usual object, but they're linked to other references, other ways to understand the body. But a muffle is also all about childhood. And to me, even if I'm not somebody who wants to work in the past, because I'm not so much interested about the past, but these are very powerful elements that allow me to weave in a story, weave in a work. And having my mother knitting these gloves, well, it all started from an intuition. I sort of instinctively knew that it would be something one day, that I would find a solution to turn these gloves into a work of art. And if I do number 7, it's also because I thought about the 7 dwarfs, and then you talk about kindergarten, and I have flashes in my head where I still remember the kindergarten I used to go to, and it's also a gate towards teenage and adult life. So it's the child that's building into an adult, and that's what I wanted to say with these gloves. And I said I'm going to unknit them, to re-knit a life, to make them become characters, to have them tell a story, which maybe visitors will get on board with, because each glove is different. And as a friend said this morning, they look like safety gloves or gloves worn by butchers. So every visitor can relate to these gloves in a different way according to their own personal lives. And now if we come back to what we were saying about Pauline F., well, at the end of the day, I realized that I wanted to tell stories. I write in French. I'm probably not a writer, but I do want to tell stories. And telling stories is not just about creating a narrative, but to show a piece of jewelry in an exhibition, you need a case. So I'm putting these jewels on display in this vanity case, and these are earrings made with sewing dies, but they're not technical exploits. They're just funny objects with a touch of irony, and they refer to the 19th century. So having this case called a vanity case and having people wearing them, but it's also a way to talk to the visitor during the exhibition and create a novel around my work, and a graphic novel, even though it's totally different from what I used to do 15, 20 years ago, as if at one stage you can unconsciously embrace things that are more humoristic or in irony. Okay, we get to the exhibition, and the first thing we see are three pictures with a young lady wearing a pink Vichy dress. How did Brigitte Bardot end up in your world? Okay, I want to apologize to Brigitte Bardot, but I've never been really touched by who she is in reality. But I had worked on these sewing dies which then became spoons that looked like small breasts, which I turned into brooches, into robots. And if you think about the French history, who ever had the most beautiful breast? Well, Brigitte Bardot is setting a standard. And as I was also working on medals back in the days, well, when you talk about jewelry, the question is, how do I fix something in a relevant way? How do I fix this jewelry to the body in a relevant way? So I heard Brigitte Bardot. So when you talk about Brigitte Bardot, you talk about this Vichy fabric. So I had this display. And as I'd already worked on the Plactre series, and I had already used the clothes I had created for Pauline F. for other pictures, and by the way, it's Pauline F. could stand for Pauline Femme, Pauline the woman. So I said, I'm going to use this support to fix everything. Very often people told me, I can't wear your pieces because I don't have the appropriate dress. So sometimes I would show the dress alongside with a piece of jewellery. So of course Brigitte Bardot is more present because that's her dress, as created by Estrelle, which we've seen. It was her wedding dress, which we've seen in a beautiful documentary that was showed on RT channel. But my dress is more kind of a bag dress, and it's not as beautiful as the very feminine type of dress that was created for Brigitte Bardot. Okay, what's your relationship to femininity? My connection to femininity. Well, I asked myself the question, who is wearing a piece of jewellery? Well, women. It's a story around women. Even if people keep telling me, yes, but there are boys as well. Okay, fine. But if you look at the history of jewellery, it's mostly articulated around women, because this is the object that can build or unbuild a femininity. And my relationship to that is a relationship of challenging this social object in the construction of women. I don't know if I would use the word femininity, because I'm more of a tomboy myself. Well, I used to be anyway. And it's very funny because in German, I always fear the feminine or the female form of the word. In English, you use goldsmith, but you have no female version for that. In German we do, and I don't use it, and I get corrected. So my vision is more that of the position of women with regards to jewellery, because in the 70s, many girls, many friends were not wearing jewellery, as if jewellery were part of a mandatory femininity that they were rejecting. Maybe I'm not very clear, but once again I think it's not about femininity. I think it's more about an object that constructs a woman, and which I challenge because I am a woman and I create an object which was never really all that challenging for me when I was a teenager or when I was a student and when I decided to study design and jewellery. So even today I'm wondering why I started working on this. Well, of course I know that these objects are very intimate, very personal objects, which also allow you to tell a story. Okay, talking about objects which are both intimate and personal, can we come back to this wedding ring? I just wanted you to tell us about the incredible anecdote about your mother's wedding ring and how this fueled your reflection. You are wearing this ring that I love, and I thought, well, if one day I decide to get married, I want my wedding ring to be like this one. And it's the fingerprint of your finger and the fingerprint of your boyfriend. Yeah, boyfriend, lover, whatever. What can you tell us about this? Okay, so let's go straight to the fun part. A wedding band for me is a social relationship that's connected to a wedding, to a specific place, to a specific ritual. And as we have many couples living together not being married, I wanted to offer another type of object that could be worn in a different way, because a wedding band there is a link, there is a commitment towards the society, And this is materialized by an object. When you get married, you wear your wedding band. But for people who are not married, but who live together, there is no specific ceremony with a specific object to be shared. So I thought it was important, and because I wanted to wear a little part of him with me, because I travel quite a lot and I'm very often outside the house. So it was a way of having him with me, and instead of having a picture of him on my mobile phone, I wanted to have his fingerprint on my hand, and it's more real. And it's not the image of picture, which I think is not the same thing. Photography, pictures can't be shared in the same way. So coming back to wedding bands, I had a major question about 20 years ago, round about 2000, when I had poked around everything, and I was getting a bit bored because I didn't want to be trapped in one form of aesthetics, or any other form of aesthetics, by the way. And I was wondering about jewellery. Why do we wear what? How do we wear them? And I was not very much involved in all this thinking about jewellery. I love clothes, I love fabric. I spent more time admiring the work of wonderful fashion designers, Japanese designers more specifically. And then I wanted to address these more specific questions, but as a sociologist, so to speak. So I asked my mother, "Where is your wedding band?" Because she was no longer wearing it. And this is how she showed me the wedding band that she had transformed because my dad had died. You need to tell us how it was changed. Well, she transformed this wedding band, which was just a band, and she set a small ruby on the band, and she turned it into a ring and no longer a wedding band. So I don't know if she managed to turn her memories, her mourning, because she was mourning for my father passing, and she changed the object. And this is when I started working on this question of the wedding band, which tells you the story of a couple. A family starts with a couple. It can be more than a couple, but it starts with a couple. And to symbolize this couple, you have the most simple, most plain object, which is a very small object, which people wear on a daily basis, which almost disappears and then reappears because it means I'm not available. I'm not available. So this wedding band joined in a more exhaustive project, which starts with the necklace made of daisies. Then you have earrings to tell the story of a wedding ring, which is quite universal, because I do hope that everybody can rethink what a wedding ring is about. Like I think about the wedding ring that my mother had and changed. Okay, Monica, can we now talk about this piece, which is called Envergure? It's highly poetic. It's an invitation to flying away. Yes, it's a bit strange. I had worked on necklaces that were called My Garden, and which were included in a beautiful exhibition in Kicksberg in Switzerland. But back in the days. I'd worked on brooches, earrings, rings, necklaces, but I wanted to unite the two hands. So to do that, you go through many tests and trials, but I really had this desire. I didn't know how to do that, but I really wanted to do that. And I started thinking that a piece of jewelry is something with no link. Okay, you fix a brooch on a piece of clothing, you wear a ring, but you don't think about the body. And I'd seen the work of other people, and I thought, okay, how can I measure the body? How can I offer some kind of a tool? And I started doing research, and I had worked on pieces which I was not happy with. And this is when I realized that the most complex thing is to show something which is not just a print from the hand tied with a piece of string. I wanted to show something very light, almost invisible, almost impossible to wear, almost impossible to show because it's invisible, but that everyone was trying to see whether yes, we do have this as big as that. And it was just a sketch in those days. It's a small sketch, which is kind of a hair that's a string between all my pieces, and it's very mysterious because then I started working on the technical aspect of this piece. I included minute details because I like when things are done in a beautiful way from a technical perspective. I love details. When I look at things, I love looking at the details. And to me, it remains a bit of a mystery. Even if this piece called Envergure was also a way for me to set free from everything. It also offered me an opportunity to move away from the object, even though I paid great attention to the form, the shape, because I know that it can lead to intellectual reflection, because I think that I started off looking for a shape in order to generate a meaning. And the meaning came because I observed what I had done. I looked at what I had done. I understood that I was trapped in one shape, and what does this shape tell me? How can I escape it? And to me, these transition objects are those that allowed me to have this intellectual reflection about my work. People call me a conceptual artist. That makes me laugh. I have many references, of course, but I'm not a conceptual artist. I produce objects which may be seen as concept object, because an embroidered brooch reminds you of kouzout, but it comes from the observation of a shape, and it comes from the time it took me to produce these things. I'm thinking about a poem that you learnt when you were a child. You did not understand all the meaning of this poem, but you had this understanding that it was important. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Yes, it's one by Bertolt Brecht on migration, and there is another one, Stusser, by Hesse, and both talk about journeys. And Bertolt Brecht is somebody I admire. When I was young, I watched his play called Mother Courage, and I went to hear the play, and it was played by his traditional theatre troupe, academy, and this is a play where he talks about migration, and he walks past an ox, he walks past a customs officer, and the kid says that he has luggage where he carries his writings, and he explains that water will eventually destroy everything that is hard. And I don't know why, but I had to analyze this work. I was not good in German and in literature. Well, I was not a good student anyway, but I was so moved by this play that it was the first time I accepted to really do hard work on this very difficult exercise, and I wanted to succeed because it was beyond my understanding. I was about 14, so this play... Tell us what the story is about. Well, there is this customs officer, a very simple guy, who manages to steal the writings by Lao Tzu. And it's more complex than that. It means that you can understand something without being smart. He listens to Lao Tzu. He understood something. This customs officer was interested in listening to this guy. Well, the guy was Lao Tzu, a philosopher that contributed to building an entire Chinese philosophy. And this emotion I felt, that you can be just anybody and yet be capable of reaching out to something which is more mysterious, more powerful, more intellectual. But it's the journey that matters. Okay, so that brings us to this anecdote, because I like the idea when we feel we understand something without really understanding the journey totally. This is what Duras talks about in The Summer Rain. And I was thinking about this anecdote you told me when you went to a village to show your work, and there was this man who wanted to buy one of your pieces. And we're not in Paris. We're not in this gallery where people have codes to have access to your work. But I wanted you to tell us about this anecdote, because it's very meaningful. Well, this is my cross, actually. This would actually be my cross. So we went with Stéphane Landureau near Montpellier, because his friends were organizing this small craft fair, and they asked us to be part of it. So we said, okay, these are friends, let's go, and we'll be there for 2 days and we'll be bored, which was not really true. We have lots of prejudices. And during these 2 days, there was this small man, as François said, and he looked at my thimbles, and he looked at them, he thought they were beautiful, he admired them, and he asked me for the price. And I tell him the price, and he said, it's too expensive for me. And I still feel sorry about this today, because he spoke to me for a long time, and this exchange was very beautiful. We were talking about different things, and I would not have made more money, I would not be more wealthy today, and I think I missed something here. It's to give. I missed out on giving. And as a jewel maker, I forgot that you can touch anyone with what you do, and you can touch with anyone. It's like Duchamp said, it's the viewer that completes the work. And to me, I missed out with this person, and yes, that's my cross. I didn't give it to him. I should have given it to him. It's stupid. I don't want to live on regrets, but sometimes I think about it, and I don't want to miss out on this donation, counter-donation. I had many opportunities in my life, and this was something that was something more material to a certain extent. Well, you see, that's my regret. Okay, religion in your childhood. What's your relationship to God? Well, that's a very impolite question, isn't it? No, by the way, that's a question I ask myself. And I'm not interested in religion, but we in Europe, we bathe in an image system that's rooted in the Christian religion. And I think that's more visible in Germany than in France. We were all baptized. It was mandatory. We had an obligation to take Sunday classes. We had religious education in school, and we had to go to church. My father, well, I loved my father for that. He was an atheist, deeply atheist, but he had an obligation to baptize his children. So he decided to have us baptized in the Protestant church, although he was born in a Catholic family. But he said, well, given what happened in history, I can't have my children baptized in the Catholic faith, although the Protestants were also damaged by World War II. So I was a Protestant in a Catholic country. We had many discussions about that in our family, but I had to take Sunday classes, and we had religious education in school, stuck between English and math, and there were these 45 minutes of religious education I had to take on Thursday afternoon. It was on this Thursday afternoon that I had this class on religion, and I was paying attention to what was said, because I was paying attention as a student. And in the church that I visited on a regular basis, there were two paintings by Dürer about the apostles. Of course, they were not the original pieces, because the original paintings are in Munich, in the museum. So there were reproductions of Dürer and the apostles. And the quality of the paintings, the expression on the face of the apostles, all this really impressed me. And in Dürer, the study of the hands, for I can't remember which apostle, but in any case, it's as if he had studied the hands in different materials, in wax, in lead, in painting. Dürer is someone I love as a painter, as a botanist, and this is something I still remember. And as I was working on my prints, all of a sudden I saw a gesture and thought, okay, at last Dürer is penetrating my work. Well, the Protestants pray like this, Catholics pray like that, meaning that they put their hands in the hands of the Lord, and the Lord as if it was a feudal lord, and you put your hands in the hand of your lord to create an alliance. So to me, these are images that echo one another. So yes, I want to make objects that can echo this. It's not just working on jewellery, it's working on the hand, on the sewing die, on this hat that you put on the finger, and it allows you to echo other things. And I guess this is what artists are. They are an echo chamber for everything they receive in their childhood, in the history of their country. Okay, so let's talk about history. And there are these stains here. you have a collection of dresses with stains. And you were talking about the scarlet letter. Yes. So, what accompanies you and what do you put in your work which comes from your past as a German person? And you talked about the Nazi period of Germany when you talked about Heimat, so maybe we could create a link between all this.
Oui, probablement. Alors là, c'est vrai, ça me émue toujours un petit peu, qui est assez rare, je pense. Mais à un moment donné, si Heimat et Reif d'une manière différente, j'avais longtemps toujours été irritée. C'est toujours la question pourquoi on est quelque part ailleurs pour trouver sûrement une distance. Longtemps j'étais et nous, je fais partie de la... Alors, je vais être un peu plus longue. Je fais partie de cette génération d'Allemands qui arrive au moment où on va commencer à repositionner ou rediscuter, reparler à l'intérieur de l'État allemand, dans la société allemande, de ce passé lourd que nous devons porter. Et bien entendu, quand on fait des broches qui sont en fin de compte, si on les regarde, une espèce d'objet sur le vêtement, et j'avais fait une photo où ça ressemble à une tache. Et à un moment donné, inconsciemment, ça vous ramène à un objet. Si on n'arrive pas à le lire, si on le lit dans un contexte différent, c'est pour ça je pense que ça devenait important pour moi de contextualiser, analyser des choses différemment. Et on les lit d'une manière différente. Et cette croix qui est jaune, cette étoile plutôt, pardon, qui est jaune, cet signe qu'on met sur quelqu'un. Et j'ai vu des photos, j'ai voyé des photos encore aujourd'hui, quand je regarde la manière de ces femmes, les voient, ou ces hommes et femmes et enfants, presque fiers de porter ça, qui sont là devant la photo, moi, ça me traumatise toujours. Enfin, ça me traumatise. Bon, c'est parce que c'est une histoire allemande, comme plus tard, j'ai découvert, enfin, c'est pas découvert que je me posais la question, depuis toujours, on a obligé, pour exclure les humains de la société, on va les marquer dans leur corps.
Alors, parle-nous de la lettre écarlate, alors peut-être.
Oui, donc la lettre écarlate, c'est un roman fait par...
On le mettra dans les crédits.
Voilà. Donc ça, c'est mon grand dilemme aujourd'hui, et des fois, je ne me rappelle pas les noms. Donc c'est une histoire d'une jeune femme qui a fauté, comme on dit si bien en français, et naît un enfant, et on l'accuse bien sûr d'adultère, et dans l'Amérique très puritaine de l'époque, elle était obligée de se broder la lettre A en rouge et le mettre sur son vêtement. Et ça fait partie de ces marquages du corps de la femme en l'occurrence. Bien entendu, on va marquer le corps de l'homme d'une manière différente, mais de ces marquages sociétals où, fur et à mesure dans ce roman, cet objet ou cet A devient un signe d'identité qui vient carrément quelque chose porté comme un signe positif, parce que le jour qu'elle enlève, et si je n'interprète pas mal, sa fille ne la reconnaît plus. Donc, d'un objet négatif, on passe vers un objet positif, mais aussi une manière de porter quelque chose d'une fierté, parce qu'en plus, elle n'a jamais dénoncé le père de son enfant. Donc, c'est toutes ces choses qui sont un peu dans ma tête quand j'ai commencé à vouloir au fond parler de tâches, de stigmates et de marques. Et pour ça, cette œuvre, longtemps dans ma tête, je l'avais appelée calvaire. Calvaire parce qu'en fin de compte, parce qu'il y avait toujours 3 pièces. Hein. C'est drôle, très tôt, c'est des triptyques ou des diptyques, mais beaucoup plus des triptyques, comme si à 3, on peut raconter mieux une histoire. Comme s'il y a 3 choses, on peut être plus clair sur ce qu'on veut exprimer, et c'est pas un couple qui se dispute. Comme si toujours enfin, voilà, du coup, c'était plus logique de passer par 3. Et là, donc, cet objet qui, à la fois, arrive après avoir fait parcours, donc, où s'intègre l'alliance de mes parents, il y a de nouveau une tâche qui est plutôt bien sûr liée à la tâche féminine classique. Donc cette tâche que j'ai brodée sur un drap, bien entendu, là, en référence à cette tâche qu'il faut encore montrer dans certains pays comme signe et comme preuve de quelque chose. Donc on est dans une investigation des tâches là. Et bien entendu, la marque par brûlure, comme si on brûle la chair, parce qu'il faut toujours comprendre les robes comme finalement une extrapolation du corps. Donc s'il y a des couleurs différentes, ça n'est pas toujours une extrapolation du corps, mais c'est toujours lié à un corps social plus qu'à un corps réel. C'est pour si souvent ces formes, tout ça, des formes qui sont plus liées à des formes réelles, mais à des formes un peu abstraites. Et donc la tâche par brûlure est bien sûr la tâche la plus drôle. Nous ne connaissons pas l'eau de Javel dans les pays nordiques, ni en Allemagne. Oui, ça vous allez rire, vous allez vouloir travailler, acheter du lot de Javel en Suisse ou en Allemagne. Alors là, c'est un peu la course à je ne sais pas quoi. Et l'eau de Javel, comme c'est très français, vu toutes ces filles qui avaient des taches sur le vêtement parce qu'ils ne mettaient pas de blouse pour travailler. Donc c'était aussi une vraie observation, une vraie drôlerie, tous ces vêtements qu'on jette parce qu'ils sont des taches. Et on fait compte, ces taches qui a été récupérées d'ailleurs par d'autres, parce qu'il y a eu plus tard des couturiers qui ont travaillé sur utiliser l'eau de Javel pour décolorer la matière et que ça fait très beau parce que c'est toujours en dégradé, etc. Et pour moi, la tache de l'eau de Javel, que je voulais la mettre en éclat, comme au soleil, en fin de compte. Donc là, c'était assez drôle, c'est un peu des exercices techniques pour réussir à faire des taches qui sont plus des tâches dans le sens négatif, mais qui deviennent des tâches positives, joyeuses, drôles et douloureuses aussi. Parce que je trouve, là pour moi c'est encore très difficile de qualifier cette pièce avec un titre, parce que comme on peut voir, j'ai mis aussi des cintres très singulières qui sont en forme de croix, parce que je pense que oui, c'est là où cette idée du calvaire, ou aussi de la mise en espace d'un objet. Parce que j'avais fait ça durant une résidence en Suisse, qui était exposée à la fin dans le musée de Bienne. Et souvent, on me fait cette réflexion, ah oui, les vêtements, j'aimerais les porter. Et là, je dis, zut, comment je peux encore faire réfléchir, parce qu'on fait une exposition bijoux, parce qu'on fait une exposition des vêtements, comment je peux accentuer cette à la fois mise en lumière et toujours cette mise en douleur. Parce que pour moi, c'est une pièce que je trouve dans une mise en douleur et une mise en lumière. Mais la douleur, j'espère qu'elle est comprise parce qu'il y a cette cintre qui n'est pas un cintre classique, qui n'est pas un cintre qui appelle à une douceur du porté, quelque chose de plus normal et plus drôle. Et ça, c'est des anecdotes, je trouve importantes. Souvent, comme je dis, je regarde rarement des films quand je suis dans une grande concentration de travail. Je ne vais pas voir des expositions des collègues. Je ne vais pas voir certaines expositions où j'irai voir plutôt des expositions neutres. Parce que si on est dans une très grande concentration de travail, il faut se garder cette concentration. Et j'étais là, allée à Anvers pour visiter une amie avant le début d'exposition au Pascar. Et là, je traverse la ville d'Anvers et je suis autour de la cathédrale et je vois les cintres suspendus dans un magasin qui vendait que des objets religieux. Je suis rentrée et je demandais si je pouvais en acheter 3. Et j'ai réussi à les négocier parce que c'était compliqué à les négocier parce qu'elle le faisait fabriquer pour elle-même. Et là, je dis, c'est exactement ce qu'il me faut. Parce qu'on est dans une concentration de travail. On est complètement immergé et habité par ce qu'on fait. Il n'y a pas la place pour le reste. Et ça, c'est ça, je veux dire, je sens quand je suis dans une grande concentration, je filtre tout parce que je fabrique, comme tout le monde d'ailleurs qui travaille un travail artistique. Et là, je suis toujours heureuse je suis heureuse de ces rencontres inattendues, mais qui me permettent d'être plus juste, plus précis dans la formulation matérielle de mon propos intellectuel. Je déteste ce mot bijoutier, ça m'évoque tellement peu que Goldschmidt ou orfèvre, là on est dans la tradition, on est dans une transformation de quelque chose, et dans la tradition de l'orfèvre, bijoutière ou bijoutier, on faisait de l'objet aussi, on pouvait faire de l'objet, et Goldschmidt comme Silverschmidt, tout c'est aussi un passé d'apprentissage, du coup de revenir sur des choses qui sont de notre histoire, de faire des gobelets, faire des cuillères, tout ça c'est pas, comme je dis en rigolant et pour faire ce passage, ça se fait dans une cuisine et ça nous ramène à l'histoire traditionnelle de mon apprentissage que j'ai appris à faire une cuillère en martelant, donc c'est plutôt comme ça. Et bien sûr, j'ai aussi autre chose qui est important, c'est cette investigation étymologique du mot dé à coudre, qui est un petit verre à boire. Voilà. Donc c'est toute cette chose-là qui se trame à ce moment-là. Je trouve, si je peux faire des gobelets, qui sont des empreintes, pardon pour le geste, qui sont bien sûr toujours le majeur, parce que là c'est tout drôle. Pour envergure, je dis, oui, alors si je veux relire tout ça, la chose la plus longue, c'est le majeur. Donc c'est un anneau qu'on porte sur le majeur, mais pas sur l'alliance. On ne fait pas alliance. On fait majeur, qui est la partie la plus longue de soi-même. Et bien sûr, le geste plus sexué, vu qu'à chaque fois sort un objet, comme disait un ex-étudiant, mais Monika, vous êtes toujours dans l'ambiguïté sexuelle. J'ai rigolé. Oui, parce que ça fait bien sûr des petits capotes.
Mais oui.
Comme je dis, ça fait plutôt des casques de motard avec un petit ou de cosmonaute, etc. Mais il y a toujours. Et du coup, on peut choisir qu'un morceau de doigt. Mais ce n'est pas ça que j'avais envie avant. Et ça, je pense que c'est la chose qui m'est le plus chère encore aujourd'hui. Regarder la forme, comprendre sa référence, ou tramer des histoires autour, me raconter des histoires, ou voilà, ne pas se bloquer sur le but, mais faire ce cheminement qui est celle de... Là encore, un poème qui s'appelle Stufen, qui est de Hermann Hesse. On monte, on rentre dans des espaces, on continue, on ouvre des portes, et il y aura toujours une porte unique, on ouvrira peut-être celle de la dernière porte. Je peux faire un hommage à Wenzel Jamnitzer, qui est pour moi, voilà, ce retour à l'histoire, ou cette référence à l'histoire, cet écho à l'histoire, parce qu'il y a une Daphne que j'aime bien, qui est donc au musée de la Renaissance, qui est donc une Daphne qui est une Daphne en argent, faite par donc un orfèvre de la Renaissance et allemand qui a des mains au ciel parce qu'elle se transforme en arbre et ses mains sont ces arbres, cette référence à l'arbre est plutôt faite en corail et pas du tout faite avec une branche de bois ressemblant ou avec un métal, etc. Non, c'est en corail. Vu le corail, là je n'ai pas vérifié, mais on le trouvera le corail au-dessus de Madone parce que ça protège et c'est un symbole fort durant la Renaissance. Et bien c'est une image qui m'a assez plu comme ça, physiquement, joliment, tout bêtement. Et après je passais toujours pour aller à Plélan-le-Grand, je passais devant 2 arbres qui ont été 2 chênes taillés en Bretagne, parce qu'en Bretagne on a une technique assez singulière de taille des chênes qui sont autour des champs, parce que les paysans avaient le droit de couper les branches des chênes, et donc du coup on a des espèces de vers comme ça dans la nature avec des tirants pour pas tuer l'arbre, et là il y avait 2 tirants qui me faisaient de nouveau penser à Daphne, plutôt pas Daphne dans son sens historique, mais plutôt Daphne de Wenzel Jamnitzer, Et du coup, je me dis, bon, alors, on va continuer à tricoter cette Daphné rouge à la manière d'une fille qui apprend à tricoter.
Oui, du coup, je pense qu'en voyant forcément ces Daphné-là, on repense aux moufles, forcément
Du début.
du début. Et du coup, on revient sur les racines, du coup, parce que du coup, quelque part, se transformer en arbre, c'est vrai que là, on a vraiment l'impression que ce sont des racines là, qui montent au ciel.
Oui, qui part là d'une manière plus libre. Mais aussi, oui, c'est aussi ces œuvres un peu emblématiques qui je dis toujours aux étudiants, faites ce que vous avez envie, hein, et on verra après. Et c'est aussi une manière de... Pour moi, c'était vraiment... Il fallait que je fasse cette pièce comme en référence... Oui, parce qu'on peut prendre... tricoter, c'est laborieux, c'est astucieux, c'est pas très sexy, comme on dit aujourd'hui. C'est des techniques que j'adore parce qu'ils me permettent d'exister dans mon boulot, dans mon travail, parce que c'est aussi une référence à toutes ces techniques, comment dire, des souhaits, même on s'approprie dans l'histoire de l'art ou dans l'histoire de l'art depuis les années 70, les filles reviennent sur la racine, à la fois avec beaucoup d'humour et beaucoup de pertinence. Et je dis toujours, on a appris ça et c'est joyeux, c'est important de se référer à une histoire féminine. C'est aussi se réapproprier une histoire, c'est être capable de tirer nos ficelles de notre éducation culturelle et de notre éducation. Parce que les garçons ne peuvent pas faire ça. Si je peux revenir en arrière, heureusement j'ai tricoté, j'ai brodé, parce qu'on a un registre fort, intime, différent, qui ramène je trouve toujours qu'il ramène à l'intimité de la maison, qui ramène à cette femme qu'on a enfermée, qui peut ramener à les ailes qu'on nous a pas données, enfin, ou des ailes qu'on doit s'approprier, et s'approprier ces techniques. Ce n'est pas revendiquer des techniques, c'est pas revendiquer une féminisation, c'est juste un registre supplémentaire que je ne dois pas oublier, qui est drôle, qui est riche, qui est fort, qui me permet d'être le plus conceptuel des bijoutières, dans l'approche à la manière et en faisant référence à Cosut, ou en faisant un clin d'œil à Art and Language d'une manière différente. Et je pense qu'elle n'aura pas le même impact si je n'aurais pas brodé avec le point de croix.
Donc ce lien du féminin, il compte. D'ailleurs, cette exposition, tu voulais... Là, ça s'appelle juste du bijou, mais il y a peut-être l'idée de la... Enfin, c'était la première idée d'ailleurs, qu'elle s'appelle Frauenbilder, du coup, portrait de femme. Peut-être que pour terminer peut-être cette conversation, j'avais envie peut-être que tu nous parles d'une femme, alors peut-être une femme qui existe ou une femme imaginaire, portrait de femme.
Oui, alors portrait de femme, c'était Frauenbilder. Et je pense là encore une fois, la Frauen, c'est les femmes, Bild, c'est l'image, c'est lui. Et je trouve ces trois mots, c'est lui dans ce sens, mais ce n'est pas, c'est d'autres, ce masculin. Et je trouve ça assez drôle si on décrypte comme ça deux mots, Frauen, Bild, Bien sûr, je fais portrait. J'ai fait portrait de femmes parce qu'aujourd'hui, je crois que j'ai envie d'incarner quelque chose. Et je ne sais pas si je dois parler d'une personne en particulier. Mais je pense qu'en fin de compte, c'est si je fais des robes noires. Bien sûr, on peut avoir une femme derrière. Mais ce n'est pas la femme où
Chercher la femme.
Non, c'est un très joli groupe de musique, hein, c'est ça, que j'ai découvert avec des étudiants. D'ailleurs, ça m'a fait un coup de vieux, mais bon, bref. Non, c'est pas une femme en particulier, mais c'est quand même aujourd'hui, oui, il va y avoir quelque chose qui va sortir qui s'appelle Vanité, qui est toujours aussi un portrait de femme, parce que je pense, au fond, je ne peux pas détacher le bijou de ce personnage qui parfois peut refuser de se parer pour ne pas apparaître frivole. Elle peut se surparer pour se montrer. Et je pense que c'est toujours une interrogation qui va importante, que je ne peux pas détacher. Le bijou, il faut qu'il s'incarne pour moi aujourd'hui, donc quelque chose de parfois précis, parfois volontaire, parfois fictif. Oui, je ne ferai jamais des romans parce que je ne suis pas fort en écriture, mais je peux faire mes narrations, mon roman à travers mes bijoux. Enfin, juste mes bijoux. Parce que c'est là, je pense, que l'ironie. Et là, il y a des gens qui sont rentrés dans l'exposition et disaient « Vous faites du bijou ?» Oui, je fais juste du bijou. Bon, ils ont ressorti aussi sec. Mais oui, parce qu'au fond, je suis ancrée dans cet objet que je me pose toujours la question pour que je l'ai fait. Oui, parce que je pense que c'est l'objet enfin non, c'est pas un objet identitaire, non. Mais c'est un objet qui me ramène à une intimité qui se déploie vers l'extérieur. Et n'oublions jamais, le bijou, c'est l'objet le plus intime, le plus personnel qu'on porte sur soi, mais c'est l'unique objet qu'on peut promener dans la rue et que tout le monde peut voir. Parfois, on peut dire, on se fait remarquer, et parfois, zut, comme disait une amie, on ne l'a pas remarqué. Parce que ce n'est pas se reconnaître ça, parce que ce n'est pas, etc. Bon, là, je ne vais pas faire de l'ironie, parce que ce n'est pas un Chanel, ce n'est pas non plus, etc. Mais tout ça, pour moi, ça trame, c'est l'objet qui nous fait reconnaître par l'autre. Et l'autre, si on est femme, c'est bien, comme je dis tout à l'heure, R. E-R, donc R, lui. Comme nous, comme l'autre dans ce sens plus global, les autres. Je pense que c'est pour ça que j'aime toujours le bijou, parce que ça dialogue autrement avec les autres, oui, que l'œuvre d'art, l'œuvre qui est plus détachée du corps, mais qui peut parler du corps aussi et d'une manière très, très, très différente, bien entendu. Donc, merci beaucoup, Laurence.